Peace. This is Wise Words Media, back at y'all for another round. And I was listening on the radio to a couple of my favorite radio shows on the commute, and they posed this question: who are these current Knicks? What's their identity? And I was surprised they asked this question, because after like a quarter watching this team, how it all comes together, I said, oh, okay, I know who they are. I know what their ceiling is. And these New York Knicks are none other than this generation's version of the Grindhouse Memphis Grizzlies of about 10, 12 or so years ago. Those who are not familiar with the Grindhouse Grizzlies, they were a team that didn't have any superstar. No perennial all-star. But what they were was a group of hard-working, tough-minded players. Like, their hard work, their effort, they played for 48 minutes, which is what garnered the name the Grindhouse. Because when you came to that building, or when you played those Grizzlies, you were going to be in for a fight. And they, at their height, they pulled the upset, one of the biggest upsets in NBA, which is they beat, as the 8th seed, they were one of the few 8th seeds to ever beat a number 1 seed. Only a handful of teams have done it. The Grindhouse Grizzlies were one of those teams that did it. And they beat the San Antonio Spurs back in the 2011 playoffs. So, if you look at that team, there's a lot of people that resemble players from that Grindhouse team. Like, for instance, their best player was Zach Randolph, a lefty that was a career 20 and 10 guy, a physical guy in the paint, could stretch out the floor and shoot from outside. Julius Randle, career 20 and 10 guy, bruiser down low, could shoot from the outside. Michael Conley, tough point guard, tough-minded, tough as nails. Very good scorer, you know. Jalen Brunson, very tough mentality, good scorer. You have a guy that was highly touted coming out of college, O.J. Mayo. O.J. Mayo was supposed to be big. R.J. Barrett, supposed to be big. You know, so there's some comparisons there. You got your defensive guy in Marc Gasol, the guy that wiped out the paint. You got Mitchell Robinson, a guy that could wipe out the paint. So there's a lot of comparisons that are similar. You know, they had that spark plug coming off the bench in Tony Allen. You have that spark plug coming off the bench in Emmanuel Quickly. So there's a lot of comparisons to those teams, and that's what I think this current Knicks team is. That's their ceiling. Their ceiling is to be this generation's Grindhouse Grizzlies, the second coming of the Grindhouse, because in this league, unlike MLB, unlike the NFL, in the NBA, it's ran by stars. In MLB, you don't need a team full of stars. Look at the Yankees during the checkbook era of like 2001 to like 2009 or so. They lost year after year with a who's who of players on that roster. Nothing but Hall of Famers. Jeter, A-Rod, Giambi, Randy Johnson, Gary Sheffield. Hot off the market guys like Bobby Abreu and Carl Pavanos and Jared Wrights, but it never worked, because in MLB the better team wins. Same thing in football. You know, you had the Philadelphia Eagles, who back when they got Nnamdi Asomugha and a few other big names, Vince Young was like, oh, this is about to be the dream team. dudes got embarrassed week after week. So the NBA is different though. The NBA, you need superstars. You need a star. It's the only league that runs that way. That good team, a good well-coached team, good effort, that stuff don't get rewarded much. You need a superstar. Only way you win. And then it becomes a contest of whose superstar is better than whose. And that declares who's going to win. You know, you had, for instance, that's how the NBA works. You have whose superstar is going to outduel whose superstar. And well, when the Knicks made the playoffs, it was our superstar Randall versus Atlanta superstar Trae Young. Trae Young was the better superstar, therefore the better team won. You know, it's always like that. The team with the better superstars wins. You only had one anomaly, which was the Detroit Pistons. A team that had 4 Hall of Famers, no superstar, but 4 Hall of Famers. This Knicks team, currently constructed, does not have any Hall of Famers. And we have no superstars. And we have no perennial all-star. We have a guy who made 2 all-star games in about a 6-year career, whatever, a 7-year career in Julius Randle. But that's not the definition of perennial. Perennial is a guy that's there year after year. One of the top marquee names of the sport. We don't have that here with the Knicks. So we, again, and I'm going to say it again, we dropped the ball. We dropped the ball big time because we had a guy in Donovan Mitchell that would have been that superstar that you need. And then what a Donovan Mitchell does for your team, he not only helps you on the court, he helps you off the court, because you got guys that now will be like, yo, I want to play with him. I want to play with Donovan Mitchell. I want to be on the same team with him. And these guys, they train together on the off season. They might have a good off season game together in one of these pro-ams, and they're like, yo, we should get together in the league. And a lot of those teams, man, they form that way. And we could have had something like that with Donovan Mitchell here, man. He could have helped us in so many ways. But, this front office has to go. I said it before, I'll say it again, and I'm going to continue saying it until they leave. Until them heads roll and they out the door, I'm going to continue to say it. West, they need to get rid of Rose. Leon Rose has to go. All of these cats that's up there in that front office got to be gone, man. How do you they just announced the reserves for the All-Star game last night. Tyrese Halliburton is an All-Star. Tyrese Halliburton was on the board for the Knicks to pick when the Knicks needed a point guard a few drafts ago. And instead, having their best player be a power forward in Julius Randle, they went out and drafted another power forward in Obi Toppin when they needed a point guard and Tyrese Halliburton was there. They passed on Halliburton. A few years later, Halliburton is an all-star. Obi Toppin is in trade talks. We dropped the ball with Donovan Mitchell. Like, this is what this front office just did was push this franchise back 3-4 years, because now there's no superstars that want to come here or that can come here. Now what we have to do is wait another 3-4 years and see if once Donovan Mitchell becomes an all-star free agent, if on his own accord, without having to deal with trade stipulations, on his own accord, he wants to be a Knick that bad and decides to come and become a Knick. So we have to wait for that now. We have to wait 3-4 years. So this front office pushed us back 3-4 years from getting a superstar. And to make matters worse, like the salt in the wounds, these dudes cried about, oh, we're not giving up too many draft picks. That's too many draft picks for Donovan Mitchell. Multiple first rounders for Donovan Mitchell? No way. But now these clowns are talking about they're willing to give up multiple first round picks for OG Anunoby. That's the circus that this front office is. That's why we're in the position we're in, where our ceiling is the Grindhouse Grizzlies. The most this team can do is pull an upset in the first round and make it to the second round. That's this team's ceiling for the next 3-4 years. Until Donovan Mitchell becomes a free agent and we don't have to worry about Danny Ainge or nobody else, he'll come here on his own because he wanted to come here. If he still wants to come here. So, I'm Wise for Wise Words Media. Enjoy your weekend. Peace.